Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. And I bring you the news, the real news. Every effing day. What it is, everybody. Welcome to today's show, where we're going to try to give you an update on the news. I am live right now on Twitch at twitch.tv/lifttheveil411. Let me just show you what Twitch looks like for those of you who've never gone there before, because it's really the only place you can find me for sure ever, because we just don't know what's going on with YouTube. I'll tell you the update though with YouTube. This is what it looks like, by the way. That's me right there. This is the live chat here on the right. I wish I could show you the YouTube app. I'm sorry, the Twitch app. The way to learn this show, the way to catch this show on Twitch is to download the app, turn on the updates, follow me and hit updates, and then you'll get the update when I go live. I know it's very, very difficult, but if you're watching this on YouTube and you like catching the live show, I'd love one day to be able to take phone calls again, but my math says 200 people have to be tuned in to do that, so that might happen when I'm back on YouTube for however long that is, which theoretically will be in 2 days on Lift the Veil Live, which is the channel you're most likely watching this on if you're watching on YouTube. I wanted to say we're still on all the other platforms. A lot of people on YouTube say, well, why do you say Twitch and not DTube or BitChute like everybody else? Well, I am on DTube. I am on BitChute. BitChute is not too bad either as far as the UI and stuff. You might want to check out that site. When you go to the front page, you'll see a lot of people that you recognize. Jake Morphonios is there. You'll see me a lot of times on the front page. You'll see Titus a lot of times on the front page. So they have the kinds of people there right now that you'd be interested in seeing. So I'm finding that BitChute seems to have the UI figured out in a way that DTube doesn't yet. DTube, the difference is, the reason so many people like it is you can get compensated for it like you can on YouTube if you run ads, where BitChute doesn't seem to have that monetization option. The way I am monetized, mostly these days, what I'm trying to do is sell t-shirts. This one's great, Mostly Real, Lift the Veil. That's available at truthclothing.io. And I'm telling you, I don't reach as many people anymore because of the way things are going. And that's true of all of us. So all of us need your support more than ever. I actually make a product to give to you for your money. So that's at truthclothing.io, which is Truth Revolution Clothing. Those are 3 of the latest shirts. The Russian bot shirt sold out, or nearly sold out. There's still some left in good sizes. And then Mostly Real and Truth Matters are the newest cuts. So please support me by buying t-shirts or donating to Lift the Veil, patreon.com/lifttheveil or paypal.me/lifttheveil. If you're hearing a lot of shilling on YouTube right now, or on any of the platforms you're on, there's a reason for it. We're all struggling, and we're struggling to figure out where to go from here, given that YouTube has become so problematic. So thank you for finding me wherever you find me. Remember about my podcast. I never promote that enough. I have a pretty good audience on podcast, and it's a great way to listen to the show, especially when you're driving or if you want to download it. So just search Lift the Veil on any podcast platform, And you could follow me on iTunes, get an update every time a show's on there. It's another great way to catch the show. So I am going to get to the news. Is that what you came for? Okay. So the big news is this happened last night. The notification came through to my phone. Big news. Andrew McCabe, a target of Trump's FBI scorn, is fired over candor questions. He got fired for lying. He got fired for lying about, he got fired for leaking information to the press, authorizing contact with the press by a couple agents, and then lying about it in interviews. In these mainstream media, deep state organizations like the Washington Post and the New York Times, they aren't necessarily clear that this was recommended by an internal FBI office that he be fired. And everybody knows that if you're an FBI agent, you get fired for lying. The president had quite a reaction to it. He tweeted out right away last night this: Andrew McCabe fired, in all caps. A great day for the hardworking men and women of the FBI. A great day for democracy. Sanctimonious James Comey was his boss and made McCabe look like a choir boy. He knew all about the lies and corruption going on at the highest levels of the FBI. McCabe is denying the claims. He says, quote, "The idea I was dishonest is just wrong. This is part of an effort to discredit me as a witness." Mr. McCabe, Andy McCabe, who you'll remember, this is the reason that he's been under fire for a long time. He, while looking into the Clinton email probe, his wife was given about $700,000 by Terry McAuliffe, who's a close ally of the Clintons, while he was looking at the Clinton email scandal. Andy McCabe was also one of the very first agents to look into the Trump-Russia collusion scandal, or Russiagate, basically. He was one of the main impetuses for Russiagate. I believe he was one of the reasons he prematurely stepped down before his retirement is also that the timeline for the Wiener computer emails is really messed up. And Andrew McCabe has to answer questions for this. He was given information somewhere around the end of September that they found a computer, Wiener's computer had Hillary Clinton emails on it, a lot of them. And for some reason, Jim Comey was not notified about this until the end of October. And there's some question as to whether McCabe was intentionally not revealing that they'd found this information so as not to open up the Clinton email investigation, which had been closed until after the election. So there's a real question about his timeline. All of this happening, including him stepping down early and announcing he's going to retire, which he would have done on Sunday, which in this timeline is tomorrow, his 50th birthday. He, at first, was removed, we think, because of this Inspector General report, which is due this spring, they say. I'm not sure exactly when, but it's information from this Inspector General's report that, in advance of it being released, is being used against Andrew McCabe. And it was serious enough, the offenses were serious enough, including lying under oath multiple times, that the appropriate action determined by an internal part of the FBI is that he be fired. Everyone knows, every FBI agent knows, that if you have lack of candor, the way they're saying, if you lie under oath, which he did repeatedly per this report, you get fired. And that's the appropriate action. The way it's being painted by Andrew McCabe is that it's completely political and that it's being used to discredit him as a witness, and he would be a witness in the part of the Mueller probe that is talking about his obstruction of justice, because the Russia collusion probe became an obstruction of justice probe at some point, saying that Donald Trump interfered with the investigation into the Russia collusion narrative. Even though the Russia collusion narrative is bullshit, he tried to interfere with that, and apparently tried to interfere the way they're painting it with the Michael Flynn indictment and the Michael Flynn investigation. Pretty clear. So we're seeing the way it plays out in the press. They're giving McCabe avenue to talk about it and make it seem like it actually might be a political thing. I don't think Donald Trump is being of any help with his tweet. I think that gives the other side plenty of ammunition to say, oh, it is political. Look at Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump really lowers the dignity of the office in a lot of ways. I think it's great that Andrew McCabe got fired. You might think it's draining the swamp. Some people think it's the beginning of draining the swamp. Some people think he should be indicted next, and that will be the only way that we're really actually going after the deep state, which Andrew McCabe is representative of in a major way, as far as people who believe in this MAGA draining the swamp. Trump is going to go after these guys. This is the first domino to fall if you believe that the swamp is going to be drained from here on out. People who have been following QAnon, people who have been following the calm before the storm might feel that they've been vindicated. Maybe. I haven't seen it out there, but maybe, and maybe the Trust Sessions meme put forward by QAnon, maybe now that those people feel vindicated too, because Jeff Sessions was the one responsible for making the ultimate decision. Okay. So Andrew McCabe gone, indictment next. What else is happening next? Well, let me just show you the way it's being reported in the opinion section of the Washington Post, just to show you the cognitive dissonance. This headline tells you all you need to know. We're not sure why McCabe was fired, but Trump's tweet suggests the worst. This whole, we're not sure why McCabe was fired. Well, he was fired for lying. It's very, very clear that he was fired for lying. So although this is the opinion section, this is the way the liberal side of things is going to paint it, and Trump's tweet does make it worse. There's that jerk, Andrew McCabe. He's also implicated in the emails between Peter Strzok and his mistress, and saying, involved in a conversation involving a quote-unquote insurance policy against Donald Trump becoming president. And we believe that insurance policy was this phony Russia investigation. Since Andrew McCabe's firing, Trump's lawyer now says the special counsel inquiry should be ended. And he cites Andrew McCabe's firing as reason for that. He says, quote, I pray that Acting Attorney General Rosenstein will follow the brilliant and courageous example of the FBI Office of Professional Responsibility and Attorney General Jeff Sessions and bring an end to the alleged Russia collusion investigation manufactured by McCabe's boss, James Comey, based upon a fraudulent and corrupt dossier. Now, apparently, at first he said he was speaking on behalf of the Trump administration, and then he went back on that and said he was speaking for himself. He wants Mueller to be fired. And Donald Trump has wanted that for some time. He's made it relatively clear that he thought Jeff Sessions should never have recused himself from the Russiagate investigation. And he thinks that the Mueller probe is a witch hunt. He said that many times. And he really has it out for James Comey as well. The report from the Intelligence Committee, the 4-page memo of MemoGate, or release the memo, hashtag release the memo, you'll remember also painted a picture where the FBI was politically motivated in using the discredited dirty dossier, the salacious and unverified dirty dossier, in order to surveil a member of the Trump campaign. And that's all part of this, all building up to this, getting rid of the Mueller investigation. Trump's lawyer says the investigation should be wrapped up. We have enough proof now, including this Andrew McCabe lying under oath as part of this IG report, and he being crucial to both the Clinton email investigation and the Russia collusion narrative, that it should end right now. We don't know if he'll have any luck with that line of thinking, but we want to follow this going forward. And we finally see Jeff Sessions do something the president has wanted him to do for a long time, and fire Andrew McCabe. It's not clear. They say he's going to lose his pension, but it's not clear how much of his pension he'll actually lose. So I don't know if it's all that distressing for his financial state, although some of us wish it would be. And when you're an FBI agent, all you have is the trust that you're telling the truth, that you're useless as a witness once you lie under oath, and that means you get fired. So for that Washington Post op-ed to say we don't know why Andrew McCabe was fired, well, it seems very clear. And we anxiously await the Inspector General's report on what was going on during the Clinton email investigation under Andrew McCabe and Jim Comey, and under the Russiagate, Russia collusion probe. Now, I have something from the ADL I want to play you in terms of censorship. But first, this was news, and this has to do with the censorship of the right, of anyone who supported Trump. Now, we know the left, ever since Trump became president, the left, the reason they're on this crusade is they truly believe, they don't understand why Donald Trump was elected. They can't wrap their mind around it. And so they're looking for things to blame. And they believe things like shows like mine, or shows that promoted Trump. And I supported Trump during the election too. I really did. He hasn't followed through on the things that I supported him on. And I didn't actually cast a ballot for him, but I did support him during the election. I predicted that he would win. One of the only people to do that, because the way we dissected the polls and looked behind the numbers. Not supportive of Donald Trump right now because of his actions, just because I don't believe he's that qualified in the first place. I don't believe in 4D chess. The left thinks that he became elected because of mind wars, because of fake news, because of Russian bots. They don't believe there was a genuine support for him that led to him being elected. You can see in my interviews with these people who are in an anti-Trump rally, even though the intelligence communities, to a man, to an agency, said that all of the Russian hacking that happened, all of the influence campaigns that happened, had no effect on the election. That's what they determined. They determined that it had no effect on the outcome of the election, just that there was meddling. The left took that and said that the Russians are responsible for Donald Trump winning the election. Another company or another entity that gets a lot of the credit for having Donald Trump elected, and who I've covered before in the same vein, a company that's got a lot of AI working for them, is Cambridge Analytica, a data collection company who used Facebook in order to collect information on a lot of people through some kind of psychographic profiling, and then targeted individuals and tried to change the narrative. In the words of someone who used to work for Cambridge Analytica, it was all Steve Bannon's idea to create a quote-unquote culture war. We find out yesterday through an announcement from Facebook that they terminated Cambridge Analytica's ability to work with Facebook to run targeted ads and so forth. The Cambridge Analytica worked more as an advertising company than a political campaign, because they believe that advertising is further ahead of the game in terms of influencing and targeting people directly. And they were arguably more in advance technologically than the Clinton campaign in this department. And it is one way they were able to spread propaganda, I suppose, about Donald Trump. So we can say they may have had some influence on the election. Well, they're gone now. Facebook released this saying that they're suspending Cambridge Analytica and SCL. SCL is Strategic Communication Laboratories. They're not allowed to run ads anymore. The idea is that somebody in 2015, a psychology professor, had run a campaign where he collected information from willing people by creating an app and having them answer a questionnaire, and then collecting all kinds of Facebook information about their location, their friends, lots of data on a lot of different people. And then that information was passed on to Cambridge Analytica. It was a research app used by psychologists at the time. It was to see if they could go into somebody's digital life and get a personality prediction for them, including how they might vote. We theorize. Well, Facebook says that this information should have never been passed on to a third party, that was a violation of Facebook policies. When they learned about that, they removed his app, the original app in 2015, and they demanded the data all be deleted. They claim now that they just learned a few days ago that all of the data from that study was not necessarily deleted. Cambridge Analytica, in a response to this, well, in describing how they did their art, they had everything was layered and layered and layered and layered. So deleting the original information, I'm not sure that was exactly possible, because everything was built on the layer before. And they're not actively using information that was gathered during that study. It's simply that's a part of whatever algorithm they have or whatever they've learned over time. They've been learning more and more and more. You can vacuum up pretty much as much data as you want on Facebook because people make it public. So they are going through, and Facebook is acting like there's a problem taking people's data. That's what Facebook exists for, is for companies to be able to crawl through, find out all kinds of things about you, and then use you either for political gain or to sell you things, to make money. That's what Facebook is for, and that's why it's free, because you're providing them something of value, even though it costs them money to maintain the network and let you use it. So I think this is truly politically motivated. That would be my read on it. And it's just another example of getting any kind of conservative voices off the internet. I think this is the goal of the current corporatocracy that we live in. It's being driven more by corporations than by politics. And we notice Donald Trump hasn't done anything, hasn't mentioned anything about free speech and about how these platforms are monopolies and they should be regulated as utilities so that we can have free speech. And if Donald Trump doesn't do anything about this, he's not going to win the election. In fact, there's very little chance he'll get reelected right now based on doing things that his base doesn't like promoting gun control, actually taking guns away from people without due process, bans on assault rifles, improved background checks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He's done some things that have really alienated his base, those who are not in the QAnon cult and totally wrapped up in believing that everything he does that looks bad is really part of a strategy that we don't understand, that he understands, part of 4D chess, that's going to unfold over time and then lead to the arrest and incarceration in Guantanamo Bay of Hillary Clinton and the Podestas. I don't believe that, and I think it's exceedingly important that we have free speech in this country. And I do believe that with what's happening on Facebook right now, what's happening on YouTube in particular right now, with channels like mine and a host of others, that we need to fight back for free speech. And if conservatives want to have somebody speaking for them, libertarians, conservatives, then, or even the alt left, Bernie Sanders supporters, if they want to have any voice in this conversation, they need to fight for freedom of speech so that on these platforms, they can have people carrying their message. You know, like I said, I supported Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton. I don't really reach as many people anymore. So, and all of the voices on YouTube that are allowed to exist and prosper are voices that are okay with whatever this authoritarian fascist left is. And this Wojcicki lady who's in charge of YouTube right now, shutting everything down. So that's another example of the censorship that we're facing, and another example of them actively waging a campaign against anyone who supports anything other than that particular liberal, you can call it, left-wing, fascist. That's not all liberals either. I've been watching stuff on YouTube, and there are a lot of liberals that don't believe in Russiagate, that think it's bullshit, that don't like Hillary Clinton, that think she should shut up, and who don't want to go to war, who don't want torture, who are against Donald Trump, but are more similar to me than I would have imagined, and also are under attack through this same regime. So to say that it's only conservatives or only libertarians or only the right wing is actually inaccurate. And we have to remember we have allies. And I could easily agree with a lot of these things these people on the left say, particularly since I found out that they know the Russiagate thing is a scam. We can identify with those people as well and not lump them in with the fascist left, the Marxist left. Speaking of the Marxist left, this is something you want to see, and then I'll wrap up the show for today. This is going to be something from the ADL talking about combating hate speech. Right now, the way they're doing it is with a lot of artificial intelligence. And the reason I can tell you that 100% for certain is because the last 2 strikes I got on my big channel that had the channel temporarily terminated were on videos which were set to private. And the notification said that the videos had been flagged. Well, I set the videos to private so that nobody could possibly see them and flag them. Something gets flagged when somebody watches it and says, I think this is harassment and bullying. I think this is dangerous content. I think this violates the codes of conduct. Then somebody's supposed to watch it and say it does, and then give you a strike. Well, they've kind of changed that process, we know, using artificial intelligence now, scrolling for certain keywords and phrases, and doing the flagging and strike process in a completely automated way. And then perhaps if you appeal the automated strike, then perhaps a human will go ahead and take a look at it. I'm not sure if that's what happens either, because a number of people have reported who had their channels either terminated or multiple strikes, that when they appealed the strikes they got, which were most likely from AI looking for things like David Hogg in the title or crisis actor in the title, or maybe even listening to your words, because they do transcribe the audio from these videos automatically. So we know they can look for words in what actually comes out of our mouths as well. And then the AI, given instructions by humans on what to look for, humans like the ADL, will go through and automatically give you strikes, flag your videos, even if they're set to private. In one case, in my case, and I saw another YouTuber say the same thing happened to him on a video that was already deleted weeks before getting a strike. Another YouTuber reported the same thing. Ultimately, I had that strike removed, which is why I still have my big channel, Lift the Veil, but I'm unable to upload there at the moment. This channel maybe I told you this earlier, should be live for live streaming in 2 days, which would be Monday. And then, just so you know, I'm going to be at a big protest, the March for Our Lives protest in Los Angeles, and I'm fundraising for that with my t-shirts, with my donations. I'm going to be there asking the tough questions, maybe wearing my Truth Matters t-shirt and trying to figure out what these gun confiscation folks are really all about in person. I'm thinking there might be a lot of people there. They say there might be 500,000 showing up in Washington, D.C., and the Los Angeles protest looks like it may be significant as well. And we might see some of the young stars promoting this gun control agenda. Now, who is helping out with YouTube and creating these algorithms that take down hate speech, bullying, harassment? The ADL and the SPLC, two very, very sketchy organizations. The ADL, I found out through Truth Factory, was founded because they were defending a Jewish person who was accused of raping a 13-year-old girl. And they decided that the reason that person was being accused of raping this 13-year-old girl was because they were Jewish, and it was anti-Semitism. And that's how the ADL came to be. There may be some reason to believe that the person that they founded the Anti-Defamation League for was actually guilty. There may be some reason to believe that, although they were able, through their organization, which goes after anti-Semitism, the same way the SPLC does quite a bit as well. That's what they were founded on, and now they have built artificial intelligence for their online hate index. Let me show you this video, and it's a 1 minute, 14-second video. I think
ADL
I'll be
and the
okay.
University of California at
I'm going to show you some of the
have been working to
charts.
develop a new approach to tackle online hate using the latest methods. The goal of the Online Hate Index is to help tech platforms better.
Let me show you how transparent these guys are about, being open about what people think about what they're doing, etc. Like, dislike is turned off, so you can't see how many thumbs up or thumbs down this video gets. Comments are disabled. So we have no idea how people are reacting to this. We have no idea if those were originally publicly visible or if they shut them off from the beginning. This has about 10,500 views. I want to thank Activist Post for posting this on Steemit. That's how I found it. You can find me on Steemit at steemit.com/@lifttheveil411, by the way.
Better understand the growing amount of hate on social media and to use that information to address the problem.
Watch these charts
really quick. By combining artificial intelligence and machine learning with social science, the Online Hate Index will ultimately uncover and identify trends and patterns in hate speech across different platforms. We've just completed our first phase
I'll
of
show you
research,
those again.
and we found that the machine learning model identified hate speech accurately between 78 and 85% of the time. In the next phase of our project, we will look at specific targeted populations in a more detailed manner. We'll examine content on multiple social media sites, and we'll identify strategies to deploy the model more broadly. While there's still a long way to go with artificial intelligence and machine learning-based solutions, we believe the Online Hate Index will help tech companies better understand the extent of hateful content on their platforms by creating community-based definitions of hate speech.
Which community, I wonder? You have to see these charts and then get scared. I'm going to show you these charts. That's the best part of this video. Boy, this is the beginning of the end for speech. I'll show you here. Okay, here's the first chart. This is the Online Hate Index, and it shows what these bubbles show is the amount of hate that is associated with these particular words. And the bigger the circle, the more hate is associated with these particular words. The biggest bubble is Jew. The second biggest bubble is white. Then you have Hate actually has its own bubble. Black, women. Somehow targeting these specific words, you find out how much hate goes along with them. I'm going to advance to the next chart.
Will ultimately uncover
this one's great. Hate comments count by subreddit. Look at that giant bubble that says white rights, and right underneath it, the Donald. And right underneath that, 9/11 truth. They have their own bubble for hate. Censorship has a bubble bigger than that. There's a lot of hate speech associated with the word censorship. Quite a bit. The men's rights bubble is second largest. Then you have phrases like the new right, First Amendment, a conspiracy gets a big bubble. Lots of hate comments by count and subreddit in conspiracy. Guns are cool. Republican gets a big bubble. Then you have one that stands out as being a little different than the others, Nazi hunting. Somehow Nazi hunting is a big enough thing that they got their own bubble as well. Very, very frightening 1984 type information here. And then let me show you the very last one. This is funny. Average number of all caps words in hate versus non-hate comments. They find hate comments show up for as compared to something in all caps in a hate category versus a non-hate category, you get 1.2 all caps statements in the hate category versus every one you get in the non-hate category. I see a lot of, anyway, I can't even tell you this stuff. This stuff is so crazy. Conspiracy, 9/11 truth, all associated with hate. You tell me what kind of world we're living in. So that's the show for today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in on whatever platform you found me on. If you're having luck with DTube, or I want to say BitChute is working out okay. If I hadn't said this earlier in the show, check out like the homepage of BitChute and you'll find a lot of videos like this. I found a lot of creators have gone over there and things automatically upload there from YouTube. And remember to support all of your favorite content creators in whatever order you prefer. On Twitch right now, I am doing the thing where I broadcast other channels. Hoax Wars is on Twitch right now. I auto-host him on my channel. I auto-host Unirock because he's going live all the time, even though he plays video games too much. That's what's happening over there. I have 47 viewers at the moment. What I'm going to do now, just for Twitch, is I'm going to end this show and then I'm going to go back there and see if anybody wants to call in and if I have any comments in the chat. Thanks very much for tuning in here. I appreciate you. I'm sorry Doshi couldn't make it today. Nothing I could do. I'll see you at the next one. That is what it is.